Hey guys, Sure Midget here. So I've got a really cool gun to do a video on. So this is a custom build of my own. It is a personal gun of mine, of course. It is a KRYTAC Mark II base. That's what I started with. And pretty much, I'd say 90% of the stuff on this gun is not KRYTAC. So it's a complete ground-up build. So basically, what is this gun? It's basically a super high-speed SSG. It's not a DSG. It has the trigger response of a DSG, and you'll see that. The cycle speed on this thing is insane. The reason why I built this is because, well, there's a lot of people out there that are like, oh, well, only HPA can shoot 35, 40, 45, 50 rounds a second, or DSGs. SSGs can do the same. This chrono's at 40 rounds a second in its current state. And that's just high-speed motor, high-speed gears. That's pretty much it. Nice, big battery, high-quality MOSFET, high-quality parts. Basically, 40 rounds a second is fairly easy. You just have to build it right. You have to make sure you got a heavy spring, otherwise you'll get premature engagement, and other little, things you need to do. And if you're tech, then you probably know what I'm talking about. Those of you that are just starting teching, you probably won't understand what I'm saying, but you'll learn, trust me. Alright, so let's just start from the back and go to the front. So on here, I bought a Matrix stubby stock. Now these Matrix stocks are, what were they, $20, $20 or $25, which is honestly a really good price for a stubby stock. GMP ones were like $55. The funny thing is, this said Matrix, but it said /GMP. So I don't know if this is literally the exact same spec as the GMP ones, and literally it's just a markup because it's GMP and they mark the Matrix down even though they're the same thing. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they're the same or not. I remember back about 2 years ago I had a stubby stock and it was rubberized. So maybe that was the GMP one. This one's just straight up plastic, but it's polymer. It's not a shiny, like, glossy plastic. It actually looks good. Of course, I've got the Give Them the 40 patch mounted there. The body here is KRYTAC Mark II. It's black, of course. Got all the cool markings, Trident. Got the somewhat cool logo on here. It's super solid body, zero wobble to this body whatsoever. The ambi feature is taken out, so it's just on the one side. I have an ICS pistol grip here. It's an ergo grip, I guess you could call it. I think they call it the UK1 grip, which I've never seen on any ICS gun stock. They sell these aftermarket, but I haven't seen one that comes with this exact grip. So I'm not sure if they're not coming with these grips, or if maybe the new line, because I know ICS just released a new line of M4s. I forget exactly what they're called. But I don't even think those come with these type of grips. These grips are awesome. I put one of these on my ICS M4 and then one on here. It's an awesome grip. One thing that makes it so comfortable, see this ridge here? Your thumb just sits right in the ridge, and it makes the grip feel a lot thinner than it really is. Also, the notch is taken out on the A2 pistol grip. Excuse me. And there's also a notch on the other side, so your trigger finger can sit in it. So when actually firing the gun, your pointer finger or your trigger finger is actually resting in that groove. And when you switch, if you were a lefty or you just wanted to shoot left-handed, it's the exact same thing on both sides, so you get the exact same comfort. So it's a very well thought out grip. The grips themselves are $12, and then the base plate you have to buy on your own, and the base plate's like $6. So it's about $20 total, and honestly, $20 for this grip is well worth it. Make sure you grab yourself a base plate, because they don't include one, unless you have an ICS plate. And yes, ICS plates are specific to their grips, unfortunately, at least this kind. So you have to get an ICS pistol grip plate. I have a Evite T1 on here. As you can see, it's got the Evite logo. I've got a UTG riser here. It's in the medium profile. That's what I always get. The rail system on here I actually bought at Fallen Warriors Airsoft. It was the first time I had been there in a while, and I saw this on the table in there. They have just used parts, and so I asked one of the guys, I said, hey, what do you want for this? I was talking to my friends. I was like, ooh, if I can get it for $20, I'm definitely buying it. Like, I had $20 on me, and that's pretty much all I had, if I'm not mistaken. So that's all I had in my name. And so I told my friends I was going to offer 20 for it, pretty much. The guy that was there ended up asking the owner, because the owner was not there that weekend, so he was on the phone with him and asked, oh, how much for the rail, whatever. He said 20 bucks. I said, heck yeah, and I literally gave him a $20 bill and took it. Like, I was not going to argue with that price, because that's exactly what I wanted to pay. And these rails retail for like 80 if I'm not mistaken, and they're not easy to find, the JP licensed. Now, this is an airsoft one. It's for airsoft only, it says. I think these are Mad Bull if I'm not mistaken. These are expensive, and you don't see these type of rails that often. It came with one long rail on the bottom, so I cut it and put half of it up here for my flashlight, and then I still have half of it if I want to put a grip on here. The barrel here is a KRYTAC. It's the KRYTAC CRB barrel, and then I have this kind of flash unique, not really unique, just a muzzle brake on here. I've had this flash hider for probably 5 years. It's just been switched from gun to gun, and I had it spare because I had sold the gun that I kept it for. I had on my ACR, and I sold the ACR and put something else on the ACR and kept this, and ended up putting it on here pretty much because it was laying around. I think that's pretty much it for the externals. For the internals, I have a Pro-Win hop-up. It's a brand new one. I've got a KRYTAC inner barrel, and then a Lonex 50-degree bucking. I had the KRYTAC bucking in here, but it folded and ripped. So I've got the Lonex in here. It shoots just as good. FPS is about the same. Consistency on the FPS, I think, is a little bit better than the KRYTAC one. Inside of the gearbox, man, what a list. I use the KRYTAC gearbox as the base. I have a ASG Infinity 45K motor. Now, I want to mention that the 40K ASG Boost shoots the same rate of fire as the Infinity 45K. Now, to me, that doesn't make any sense because it's 5,000 RPM more. So why is it shooting the same rate of fire? It honestly doesn't make any sense. Same battery, same gears. It's the truth. I put it through the Chrome, it shoots the same rate of fire. So I ended up selling the 45K Boost to a friend that built a stubby low receiver for his Polar Star, and his is 40 rounds a second too, so he built a 40 RPS AEG, just like I did. And so I sold him that 40K Boost. In the end, it was a mistake to buy the 45K Infinity because it literally shoots the same rate of fire. So if you're looking for like a high-speed motor, a really high-speed motor, and you don't want to spend over $40, buy the ASG 40K Boost. An amazing motor. It will give you 40 rounds a second with a nice, it's a 11-1 40-50C and 13-1s. Now, if you go to 12-1s, you'll get like a round a second higher, so just over 40. If you do 10-1s, you'll probably get 45. So keep that in mind. I would not recommend the 45K Boost. Or sorry, the 45K Infinity. ASG makes a lot of motors. The Boost motors are about $40. The Infinities are much more expensive. Don't recommend the Infinities. It's 55 bucks. It's all CNC'd, which is nice. It's nice quality, but it doesn't improve performance whatsoever. Now, I've been talking to the OC Airsoft guys, and they really recommend the Star Wii 45K motor. I was going to get one of those, but they were out of stock pretty much everywhere, and plus they're like $75, I think, which is not, I'm not willing to pay $75 for a motor. I'm just not. So I ended up spending $60 on this, and it was somewhat of a mistake. Because, like I said, it shoots 40 rounds a second, the same rate of fire as a $40 ASG 40K. Doesn't make any sense to me, and the SHS that I got basically fried on me. It shoots like 33 rounds a second now. When out of the box, it shot 43. It shot great out of the box, but it ended up frying itself. The bearings on the tower exploded, and I messaged Clandestine Airsoft, and they just ignored me. They were telling me how it's user error, blah, blah, blah. Bearings rarely ever blow on the tower, blah, blah, blah. And then they just stopped replying to me after I told them basically, like, if you're not going to refund me, I'm not going to purchase from your site again. And they didn't refund me, so I am not going through them again. Brill is a much, much better person to deal with as far as really prices are a little bit better on Brill, but also customer service. Brill is much, much better. Alright, as far as the other internals, I've got besides the motor, the Infinity 45K, I also have a Spectre Mark 1 BTC, short trigger pull mod. It's got the retro arm straight trigger, it's blue. As far as the other internals, it's got a steel cylinder, It's got the G&P aluminum cylinder head, G&P aluminum O-ring nozzle, G&P tappet plate, SHS 1301 gears with a Lonex sector chip. I have a random M125 spring. I had to modify the spring guide for this because basically the screw for this went through the spring guide, and as you know, with a KRYTAC, the threads are on the back of the body, not on the inside of the spring guide. So I had to completely ditch the KRYTAC spring guide, and I modified a standard spring guide to be QD. Believe it or not, I just cut the notches down, and so I can fit it in the gap and twist it, and it locks in. Perfect. And it has threads in it, so it goes straight through, and perfect. No wobble whatsoever on this thing. Okay, what other internals? That's pretty much it. I had the KRYTAC bearings in here, and they ended up blowing. The 2 bearings on the spur just shredded. And so I put VFC steel bushings on the spur, and then the rest are still KRYTAC bearings. I'm hoping they hold up. It's been probably 5,000 cycles through this thing since the KRYTAC bearings blew on the spur. So I think it was just the spur, honestly. And the same thing happened with my Aries Amoeba. I had Matrix OEM SHS bearings, and they ended up blowing because I shimmed the spur a little bit too tight. It wasn't tight, it was perfect. That's the thing, it was perfect, plus I swapped the motor on it, so the rate of fire went up to 34 rounds a second. And, you know, rather than the 28 that I was shooting before, 6 rounds a second more, it just couldn't handle it, so they blew. So then I put SHS bushings in there, steel bushings on the spur. So the sector and the bevel are still running bearings on this gun and that gun. And the spur is where you get the brunt of the pressure, because that's the step gear. So I've had, again, 5,000 rounds since those blew, and I haven't had any other bearings blow in this, so I'm confident the KRYTAC bearings in this are going to work. And the same thing with the bearings in my Aries Amoeba. They'll be fine. Other than that, I don't think I'm missing anything. The battery that I'm using is a 1800 milliamp 40 to 50C 11-1. It's wired to Dean's, of course. I wired it. They don't come like that. Alright, so as far as magazines, I can't get any of my mid-caps to feed on full auto. None of them do. I have Lonex flash mag right here. This is a really old one that I had to modify to fix. As you can see, there's that screw thing in there. Also, I have random high caps that seem to work fine too. Mid caps work fine on semi-auto. I am ordering new mags as far as for all my M4s. Pretty much my G&P ones, the springs are just dying on them because they're 4 or 5 years old. And so I just gotta get new ones pretty much. Alright, so I got the chrono set for .2s. As you can see, the trigger response is insanely quick. 330, 328, 329, 327, 331, 329, 0.99 joules. So when I get 330 shots through here, a little bit above, it's exactly 1 joule with a .2. So of course I'm not hurting anybody at 1 joule, and if you think I am, then you're literally retarded. I also forgot to mention what piston I'm running this. I am running a SHS pretty lightened piston. I had to think about that because I had a Cyma in here and it ended up breaking. So I have a Cyma pretty lightened in here, and I also have a Lonex piston head. I'm pretty sure. No, I have an Elite Force piston head, one of the plastic ones. There is Sorbo in here, so I have never had any issue with. I ran plastic piston heads with DSGs and never had any issues. Insane. I love this gun for indoor. This gun is insane for indoor. As you can see, I got a mount here. This is my M22 Warrior flashlight by Olight. Literally, this flashlight just pops on any of my guns. So I literally just unscrew it and just switch guns. It is perfect. And so I have this rail set up right here to where basically the way I grip the gun naturally, my thumb is right there. So I hold the gun roughly like this. Like that, and so it's literally right there for me to push the button on. Man, it's too cold out here. I can't shoot quick enough. I don't know, with this magazine, we'll see if it feeds. Oh yeah. So pretty much out of ammo. Yeah, so if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video.